I'd like to introduce Alejandro Bataller from Shah Wellness. Alejandro has been with Shah since 2007 when he joined his family business, the Shah Wellness Clinic. He started his career in London. In 2014, Shah was awarded the Medal for Tourism Merit by the Spanish government. Alejandro lives in Madrid, Spain, with his wife Rosana and his sons. Alejandro, welcome. So,
thank you very much. Sorry for my delay. I had some technical issues.
No worries.
A pleasure to be with Travel+Leisure and to see so much respected colleagues of the wellness industry.
No worries. So we'll start off with the same question that I've posed to Dr. Stossier and to Vickum. The general opinion globally is that there will be more demand for wellness travel in a post-COVID era. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I totally agree. I think nowadays all tourism is struggling for obvious reasons, and it will take some time to get back to the occupations that we were used before this health crisis took place. But this is definitely an awakening call for our conscious. It's an opportunity to evolve as human beings, to take better care of our planet, to take better care of our health. And I've even seen on the many webinars and calls that I've been having during the last weeks and months, how some people, some media, some travel agents that before may not have been so open for wellness now become much more open, much more conscious, much more interested about wellness industry.
Thank you, Alejandro. My second panelist is Mr. Vickum N from Sri Lanka. Welcome, Vickum. He is a pioneering hotelier and tourism strategist who introduced wellness tourism in Sri Lanka within 3 years. We've got Alejandro as well, so I think he's joined us. But I'll carry on with my question, Alejandro. So Vickum has been with 3 years of having opened Santani in Sri Lanka. He's made Santani one of the most celebrated new hotels of the world, including being one of Time Magazine's 100 greatest places in the world. He's a first-time hotelier and entrepreneur and comes from a strategy consulting and finance background. Welcome, Vickum. So,
thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
The same question goes to you. The general opinion globally is that there will be more demand for wellness travel in a post-COVID era. Do you agree with that?
I have to. I'm in the business, but more relevant is that there has been, I think, awakening as humanity that we are not that strong. I mean, we thought we were the top dog in this world, and now this unknown virus has come and like basically taken care. I mean, shut us out as that we are vulnerable as any other animal. So I think there will be more scrutiny as well and demand about wellness. People would like to know how do we keep our immunity, because one key thing that came out of the COVID situation is that it was unfortunately the elderly and people with other conditions who couldn't make it. So there's a direct relationship with you being fit. And when I say fit, it's not just physical fitness anymore, but being fit physically and emotionally and spiritually in all those aspects. And that there was a direct relationship between survival and being fit. So now people will go back to, I mean, this is basic evolutionary theory, but people are now more aware of it. They will go into more detail about how to get fit and keep yourself fit and look at wellness more as a preventative care situation rather than, again, I think Dr. Stossier was saying it's not about flowery baths and massages itself. It's about preventative care that keeps you going. It becomes a lifestyle. So obviously there will be a huge demand going forward, but there will be a lot of scrutiny as well.
Thank you, Vickum, for your answer to that question. So the question for you, sir, is the general opinion globally is that there will be more demand for wellness travel in a post-COVID era. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I do agree with that. And I think there will be not only more demand, there will be a change in what people expect after that epidemic situation of virus infection. They expect more individuality, they expect more health issues, not only that we want to pamper people, they want to get more therapies. And of course, I think a big issue will be immune boost. That means people want to do some strategies, some therapies, some information to increase their immunity, to be able to fight situations like COVID-19 in a better way. So we have to be prepared that also the communication with our future guests will be different. The demands will be different. People will be asking specifically to get certain diseases because the information is there. And I think what we have to do, we have to be prepared for that. But also we have to spread positive words into the community, because what we have seen is a kind of a brainwash through this situation, and we only have heard what dangerous virus it is, what we have to do to protect ourselves. There was no positive information what to do, what can people do to protect themselves. And I think that will be the challenge for the future. So we will talk about, we will deal with nutritional aspects, with orthomolecular aspects, giving some minerals, vitamins, but also I think every area, and we are talking nearly worldwide now, you have in every medical field, you have possibilities to treat virus infections. And I think we have to be prepared to be able to help people in that field.
Thank you, Dr. Stossier. Going on to the second part of the TNL questionnaire, we'd like to start with Ms. Aashica Khanna. Ms. Khanna is from New Delhi. She presently leads operations and business development for the company's Ananda Destination Spa brand and is responsible for selectively expanding the Ananda brand footprint with exceptional hospitality. She's the Vice President of IHHR Hospitality. Welcome, Aashica.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So the question we'd like to start off with you is, the overall consensus is that domestic travel will see an initial spike. How is the wellness industry gearing up for travelers post-pandemic? What kind of travelers are you expecting?
So I think the information that we have currently at hand is that, there's still no indication of when foreign travel will be allowed in the country. Even when it does start, I still think there will be a while before the foreign leisure traveler starts to travel into India, especially, from a long distance away, because there is certain apprehensions about long distance travel or travel in general. So I think it's safe to say that we will have to rely on a domestic audience in the beginning, probably to start off with driving traffic, that are driving in from nearby destinations, and eventually moving to airline traffic as well. But I think, whoever it is that does come in is going to be a very wary traveler. So I think what actually needs to happen in India is the travel industry really needs to rally together. So whether it's airlines or hotels, in order to really inspire that confidence in the traveler again. So what's been really interesting and encouraging actually to see is that, all these hospitality brands, the big ones, have all come out with their standard operating policies, procedures, guidelines with regards to health and safety and hygiene. And what that's allowed the industry to do is create a very high level benchmark, a very high standard, which everybody kind of is pushed to match up to. And that itself will sort of reassure the traveler and give them some confidence that the Indian hospitality standard is at a very high level. So whether it's, deep cleansing of various areas in the hotel, whether it's social distancing norms, whether it's digitization, reducing the number of touch points that each person comes in contact with, whether it's, health and sanitation equipment, these are all plans that all of us have in place as an industry in India and we're all ready to implement it. And I think it's really required for us to do that in order to ensure the health and safety of our guests.
Thank you, Aashica. So our fifth panelist is Mr. Manoj Khetan. He is the co-founder of Naad Wellness, a graduate from Delhi University. Manoj brings with him over 20 years of experience in managing his family businesses. Manoj is actively involved in the day-to-day operations of Naad. Welcome, Manoj.
Thank you.
Manoj, we'd like to ask the same question to you. The overall consensus is that domestic travel will see an initial spike. How is the wellness industry gearing up for travelers post-pandemic? What kind of travelers are you expecting at Naad?
Yeah, absolutely. The domestic travel will be the first to recover. And we also anticipate an immediate spike in the hyper-local travel once the restrictions are lifted. Guests would prefer to take short breaks to destination they can drive down to instead of taking a flight. The wellness industry is gearing up to be the first choice for travelers post-COVID. And therefore, we are doing everything that will make our guests healthy, comfortable, and safe. At Naad, we are part of the healthcare industry, and our health safety standards are equivalent to that of the leading hospitals in the country. In addition, we are taking additional precautions like temperature checking, making sure that our team doesn't travel to hotspot within the region. Our team lives in a housing complex provided by Naad, and so their hygiene standards are at par with what we would offer at Naad. Even during the lockdown, we introduced a number of outreach programs like complimentary consultation with our doctors, complimentary twice daily yoga session with our yoga experts, simple practices that people can adapt to at home to keep their immune system strong. At Naad Wellness, since we are located within the NCR, we expect the people within a radius of 400 kilometers could be potential customers to Naad from within the Delhi NCR, Chandigarh, and Sonipat.
Thank you so much, Manoj. Our sixth and last panelist for today is Mr. Pawan Malik. He's the founder of the Shreyas Yoga Retreat. He's an investment banker turned entrepreneur. He's also a qualified yoga teacher himself. Welcome, Mr. Pawan Malik. To you, we'd like to ask the same question. The overall consensus is that domestic travel will see an initial spike. How is the wellness industry gearing up for travelers post-pandemic? What kind of travelers are you expecting at Shreyas?
Well, I think from the current demand, everything will look like a spike when businesses start. Whether this will sustain itself, I think really depends on the fear of how COVID plays out. I'm not certain that this is something that is just going to go away and that we will have a spike that will be sustained. I think we will have many false openings. I mean, that's something that we have to consider. We are all in this business, so I think we have a bias towards hoping that things will turn out well. But I think there is a realistic chance that people will be very nervous traveling and extremely nervous having someone coming close to them and massaging them or touching them, which is the essence of what the wellness industry has become over the last few years. I do think that there will be a latent demand. Whether that actually actualizes itself, I think will depend on whether we have a vaccine out there or people are generally more comfortable about traveling. And when you see images of people who are taking airline flights right now, and everyone in hazmat suits, wearing all kinds of protective gear, I don't think it suits everybody, or it sort of is appealing to everybody. So I think, yeah, to some extent, people who can just travel to a resort by car would do so. And as Aashica says, I think most of industry will adapt. We'll all be kind of forced to think about how to manage hygiene. And I think most importantly, communication. How do we communicate? How do we make people comfortable that what we say is not just what we want them to hear, but that's what we do, that we believe in it. India is India is not really known as being a especially a diligent place where things are taken to their detail. So, we're not like very hygienic as a nation, as a whole. But in order for a customer to feel comfortable, we have to convince them that we have upped our standards. It's not like VIVAMAYR, right? So I think every hotel, every industry, every nation is going to have to deal with something from their own angle.
Thank you, Pawan. Our third question, I'd like to address this to Alejandro. Alejandro, the spa and wellness experiences are mostly high contact. How do you think this will pan out when physical distancing is going to become the new norm? You're still on mute, Alejandro. You have to unmute it.
That's true. Hospitality industry, you can work to avoid or minimize touch points in our industry. That will be impossible. We can definitely reduce the number of unnecessary touch points, and we're doing it. We have our shop, for example, while you can do your check-in, you can access the suite, you can approve any expenses through the app. But then, of course, to have a health medical consultation, to have a treatment, it's essential. The first is by creating a protected environment. World Health Organization recommends not to travel to any person, of course, who may be suffering COVID. And following that recommendation, our guests must undergo a COVID test and share with us the result before arriving to SHA. Once they arrive to SHA, we're doing a medical checkup. Before, it used to be on the first 24 hours. Right now, we're doing it in the moment of arrival. And we are doing an antibody test in the moment of arrival to see if you have gone before through COVID and if you have developed immunity to the virus. We are doing this to all our staff as well. Before reopening, we're going to be doing the COVID test to everyone. We have installed thermographic cameras on both staff and guest area. And of course, we have created a very strict and ambitious protocols and disinfection systems based in ultraviolet, UV light, etc. That said, it's impossible, when people talk about COVID-free, I don't think we should use that word. It's impossible to avoid 100% COVID. What we can do is to take all measures to minimize this possibility. In the case of SHA, in case we detect, I think the first priority should be for us to avoid that a member of the staff or a guest arrives to SHA if they are going through COVID, because that will be a risk for the rest of the team and for the rest of the guests. If that happens, we have created an isolation block. SHA is composed by 6 different buildings. So one of the buildings is going to be reserved only for any cases any positive cases that we may have. I think this will happen similar to what happened after 9/11. No? We will have a few months or perhaps a year where people will be much more conscious about it. Of course, it will depend on how this situation evolves, if we have future waves with the COVID or not. But we will see that after a few months, people will be more confident about being touched by a wellness therapist or a doctor or a practitioner.
Thank you, Alejandro. Dr. Stossier, I'd like to pose the same question to you. The spa and wellness experiences are mostly high contact. How do you think this will pan out when physical distancing is going to be the new norm?
I hope it will not be the new norm, and I refuse to accept this concept of distancing, not only in the medical part, also in the social community and in the personal contact which we have on a daily basis. First of all, I think it's an illusion. We don't live in a sterile environment. We always have contact with bacteria, virus, and now we have it COVID. Next year we have another one. The years before we had others. We can't protect us 100%. Of course, I agree we have to have some hygienic standards, but this in the medical part we always have, and we had it, and of course that will be the standard too. But I disagree that we have to test everybody. Okay, at the moment we also do it because it is required. We want to know everybody fears the virus infection and so on. But that can't be the future. It can't be that we always live in a fear and want to protect us for whatever happens. That's not possible. For me, more important is, and I think that should become our new standard, and this is the challenging thing I said before, we have to give people a positive information about the possibility, what they can do to improve their health, to improve their immunity. And I think that will be, hopefully it will be what we all do in the future, because there is, at the moment, there is a change. There's more awareness about health. There's more awareness about self-responsibility of different people in every social society, in every medium. You can hear that you're responsible for that and you have to look after that and so on. And it could not be that from now on the mask is the standard. This I disagree and I can't accept it. For me, the standard will be to focus on self-awareness on health. We have the responsibility to do all possible things we can think about, and they will be totally different in different areas. But we have to do all this strategy to stay as healthy as possible. And then a virus infection like COVID will not damage us. And this is, I think, the challenge for the future. And also in this industry, you can't treat people without touching them. Yeah, it is a personal contact. If you do a massage, of course, there are many procedures possible without contact, and you can do counseling, you can talk to people, yes. But the personal contact is absolutely important. And we also know immunity depends on this social contact. People having more than 5 social contacts are healthier than those who have not this contact. And this is not, you can't do this social contact via this modern media, social medias, and via internet, computers, whatever. You need the face. You have to have this person to have in front of you, and you get what we call a gut feeling. There's no other possibility to get it. And I hope we will change in that way.
Thank you. Thank you for that answer, Dr. Stossier. The same question to Vickum next. Vickum, the spa and wellness experiences are mostly high contact. How do you think this will pan out when physical distancing is going to become the new norm? Vickum.
Hi. Yeah, I think I echo Dr. Stossier's thinking on this as well. But two things that I want to add on top of what he already mentioned is that this will actually separate spa hotels versus proper wellness hotels. And there is a bit of a difference. I mean, wellness is not about just flowery baths and massages itself. And I think we have a lot of people here who are focusing on Ayurveda. We are also, our base is Ayurveda. And the essence in Ayurveda with detoxing and cleansing is Panchakarma. And Panchakarma doesn't involve massaging necessarily. Massaging is what we call Purva Kriya, which is like a pre-treatment for the Panchakarma, which is the main essence of it. And Panchakarma involves induced vomiting, purgation, enemas, cleansing of the respiratory system, and blood cleansing. And all of these can be done without actually touching. And then the Purva Kriya, which is the pre-operating procedures that you do, which is like the massages and stuff like that, also has, I mean, one of the basis of that is oilation, and oilation, which is basically induced in the body with certain oils and fats that takes out the toxins. Now that can be done internally as well. It doesn't have to be applying the oils outside. You can do it internally by indigestion. So that, I mean, so that will differentiate the real wellness properties who focuses on real detoxing, cleansing, and creating a lifestyle out of it, rather than just focusing on massages and superficial stuff. So I think we need to focus on that, at least whatever said and done. Initially, there will be restrictions in human touch, but we have to also think of, I mean, throughout this, hospitals operated. And we have to take a similar approach at the initial stages. But I think the more important part is to really understand what is wellness and differentiate that from basic spa hotels, and deliver it and communicate that to the audience so that they also understand, okay, it's more than just getting a massage. And that way we can get back the customer to the hotels.
Thank you, Vickum. For my fourth question, I'd like to address this to Aashica. Aashica, what are the kind of preventative measures the wellness and spa industry is looking at taking to prioritize safety among customers?
I spoke briefly about what hospitality is doing in general in India, but I think with regards to health and wellness, we have a few unique opportunities and challenges ahead of us. I think we need to be extra vigilant because of the nature of the business itself. I think people expect a lot more from us because we've been in the business of dealing with people's health for so many years. And I think because of this, they also trust us more. But I think everybody needs to adapt in some way. And I think the challenge really is, and it's a topic that some of us have touched upon, is how do you positively affect health and well-being while reducing the aspect of touch, because we know that in the immediate future that's going to be something that is concerning for people. Now, fortunately for us, the Indian health sciences, they lend very well to this low-touch form of healing. If you think about mindfulness as a concept, it's something that's been spoken about all around the world. But really, what is mindfulness and where did it come from? It's a yogic philosophy, it's meditation, and it came from us in India. So we've actually used all these techniques along with the consultative process of Ayurveda, along with yoga and nutrition, to be able to create certain programs that have a more mindful focus, that deal more towards emotional and spiritual balance. Also, I think immunity, like Vickum mentioned, or someone else mentioned, I think on the panel, immunity is going to be incredibly important going forward. And immunity is something which Ayurveda has had incredible success with. Ayurveda has had immune boosting techniques and interventions which have been really, really successful. People have cured themselves of COVID. Prince Charles, I believe, has cured himself of COVID using Ayurvedic techniques itself. So we've actually created and designed some programs around immunity as well at Ananda. And fortunately for us, all these things that I spoke about, which is Ayurveda, meditation, yoga, spirituality, these are the pillars on which we built the Ananda philosophy. So for us, it's been a really natural shift to be able to adapt our offering in this way. And I think people are going to find their own different ways to adapt. And I think that's really the key going forward, is how do you cater to your specific audience in a way that they are comfortable with?
Thank you, Aashica. The same question for Manoj. Manoj, what are the kind of preventative measures the wellness and spa industry is looking at taking to prioritize safety among customers? Mr. Khetan, if we could have your answer on that. You're still on mute, unfortunately. Yes, Manoj, we have you.
Yeah. The current pandemic has made people more aware of where they stand from a health perspective, and they know exactly how they have been taking their health for granted. We have already been receiving queries from guests wanting to know more how they can manage and heal their current lifestyle disorders. Earlier, people were okay to live with the disease and manage it to best of their abilities, but now they want to know how they can overcome it and even heal it completely. I think the realization is that their existing health condition makes them more sensitive to new ones. While health and wellness in travel will be the priority of travelers, they may not be able to spend more than a weekend away from work. So we are expecting shorter length of stay, not more than 2 or 3 nights initially. And in fact, keeping this in perspective, we are introducing a 2-night package which will address health and lifestyle issues being faced by people at the moment, immunity boosting and recovery from the symptoms of week of social distancing, for example, insomnia, stress, and irregular eating habit, etc.
Thank you, Manoj. Pawan, we'd like to address the same question to you. What are the kind of preventative measures the wellness and spa industry is looking at taking to prioritize safety among customers?
I think one of the things that we have to do is to educate our guests about the cultural setup, the background from which the healing methods and massages, the yoga, where does this all originate from? What does it actually do? And you cannot live a lifestyle of hedony, turn up to a wellness retreat for 2 weeks, and expect that you will leave and be cured forever. So I think one of the things that we have to recognize is that there are already a number of people who are living a lifestyle like this. They know the places, they trust certain places, they keep going back there. I think many of those guests would like to see an enhanced protocol around hygiene, safety, how you take care of your staff, etc. But I think what we've been doing is, while we've been just circulating a lot of live video sessions to our guests across Instagram and other social media platforms, where we do daily classes. And daily classes are about, how to manage, say meditation is one of them, yoga classes, Ayurvedic input. I would be a little wary about selling the idea that somehow wellness centers can make someone immune to something like a COVID. I think that is taking a very, very big step. I think, there is COVID, there is your immune system. It's not just what COVID does to you, but it's what your immune system does to the COVID. And that goes across all ailments. So I think we should be a little careful about suddenly saying that, you should come to India, or you should come to Sri Lanka, or you should come to this wellness retreat because, you've been living a really difficult life. I think it's not that. We have to educate people about just good living, good, healthy living. And if you live well, coming to a wellness retreat is an extension of it. Right? So, I mean, maybe a strawberry bath is not what is wellness, but, for some people, a strawberry bath is easier because nobody's around you and you can just get some time on your own. So we have to recognize that not everybody wants to do the same thing, right? So my feeling is that those who know you will come anyway. They would want to know that you can kind of just enhance your protocols a little bit. The trick is going to be to invite people who are not used to wellness, and this is a new thing. They've just suddenly realized that this is something that potentially is there for them. What do? I think that will be much trickier. It'll be much trickier because their expectations of us and you are going to be much higher than what you set for yourself. And the risk is that we will disappoint. And what happens if you have one incident where something goes wrong? How do we deal with that? I think we have to accept the fact that things will not always work out the way we think they will work out. So I think we have lots of stumbling to go ahead with this. I mean, we can talk about it as much as we want. We are all hoping that this will either disappear or change to some extent, so life will return to some sort of normality. But life is not normal right now. This is not normal. We live in unprecedented times. So we have to accept the fact that these are unprecedented times. We have to behave like this, right? Whether we like it or not. I can wish for the world to be looking like a different place, but the only world I can deal with is the one that is in front of me.
Thank you, Pawan, for that. My next question is for Vickum. Vickum, what are the kind of wellness experiences that you are predicting will see a demand once travel swings back? Is it general detox, immunity building, or individual ailment treatment that would be most in demand?
Yeah, I think as Pawan mentioned, I think that the bigger issue is educating people and the industry and the audiences about what it is. But obviously, there has been a lot of talk about immunity boosting. So naturally, it will have a demand, but we can't go and promise something that won't work. That will not be the way to go as an industry. But again, from Ayurvedic point of view, a detox actually can help the boosting the immunity system. It's not like just because you take a treatment, your immunity system boosts. By detoxing, you are taking out the root causes where the immunity system has to work. And if there is nothing else immunity system has to work on, then it can focus on any outside threat or pathogen that comes in, like coronavirus or any other. The immune system has to focus on multiple things at the same time. The efficacy is not there. So detoxing and then combine even controlling your mind and mindfulness that can help settle the body itself. So at the end of the day, what we are doing is helping the body to before the fittest condition, so that it can fight these other outside elements, rather than having a miracle cure that immunity just goes up. Other thing that I see that will be in demand is more of preventative care. How do we, again, I think all of us discussed about lifestyle, and lifestyle is about keeping you healthy. If you look at the healthcare spectrum, there's no point trying to be on this side where you are in a curative paradigm. But if you actually keep yourself on this side and healthy, then we can naturally fight most of these things that's coming from outside. So preventative care would be another key element that people would be looking at, and that's what Santani has been focusing on. But essentially, it's like from medicine, meditation and yoga and all of that combined with Ayurveda. But at the end of the day, it's not about just coming here and having any treatment or whatever. It becomes a lifestyle. Okay. And that lifestyle education has to happen, and there will be demand for both, all of those: lifestyle, preventative care, and immunity boosting.
Thank you, Vikram. The same question to Dr. Stossier. Dr. Stossier, what are the kind of wellness experiences that you are predicting would see a demand once travel swings back? Is it general detox, immunity building, or individual ailment treatment that will be most in demand at VIVAMAYR?
Before we focus on that question, let me add one more thought about the social distancing. We know from different medical trials, if you want to grow different animals contactless, they will not survive. So for me, the social distancing is the wrong message. It can't be social distancing for the future. It has to be an improvement of health to allow us to stay in contact. And I'm sure That will be the important thing. And this is also the challenging thing for the future. And there's the demand. Of course, we have opened now at the weekend. And yes, people asking, how can we improve our immunity? This is for the moment, yes, one of the main questions. But I'm sure that will change in the next couple of weeks or even months, because people tend to forget. They will forget that there was a COVID-19 pandemic. They will have other issues. And of course, we have also in this situation, we still have a lot of stress-related problems in our clientele, and people are asking for help in that situation. Detox, I think, is a very general word, but what we have to do is to specify where you can use detox to help people. And this is, I think, the strategy and the challenging thing for us. We use fasting and detoxification to treat different diseases. And of course, we have the whole variety of diseases to treat. And there will be maybe a few spikes depending on what's going on around and in the world. And COVID-19 is an example like that, and everybody's asking for immunity. But I think in general, we have to focus on clarification, what kind of therapies we offer to improve health in general, and how to use these simple strategies of nutrition, naturopathic medicine, fasting, detoxification to help people to get rid of their complaints. And I don't see really a change of that also in the future. And what we will not do, for sure not, we don't offer quick fixes. So we don't allow people even in that situation, and we are for sure not fully booked, and everybody wants at the end of the day earn some money because we have to pay all our expenses. But if you come for 3 days or over the weekend, if you start on a Friday, what will be different on Sunday? Nothing. Yeah? Maybe you have an idea of what could happen, but you can't change anything. So I disagree, there will not be a quick fix, and we don't get patients less than a week. That's the minimum stay, and that will be the same in the future. But what we also recognized is that at the moment, people have a tendency to accept this, and they stay longer. So we have at the moment, we have more people staying for 2, 3, and 4 weeks than for 1 week. Yeah. So I think this is also a change in the perception of people, and they now realize what they have to do and how it could be. And I think our challenge is to give them the right information at the moment.
Thank you, Dr. Stossier. The same question for Alejandro. Alejandro, what are the kind of wellness experiences that you're predicting would see a demand once travel swings back? Is it general detox, immunity building, or individual ailment treatment that will be most in demand?
Well, I think people will look for less superficial and more deep necessities in terms of well-being. Definitely, this is an eye-opening for a lot of people. Of course, we'll see, especially in the short, medium term, an increase of everything that is related with immune boosting. And there are many things that are related. Nutrition is key, but then there are many treatments from cell regeneration, plasma, ozone therapy, infrared heat, where we will see more interest from guests. Definitely people has been isolated in most part of the world for a couple of months, even more in some cases. And that means that some people has gone far from their optimal weight or from their physical performance. So we'll see also in the short, medium term, demand for all this. I think one of the main challenges that has been in our industry for some time, and we are seeing brands, and some of the brands here has already launched. We also launched is the telemedicine services, which we'll see as well a demand. You know, our guests are always wondering on the possibility of getting a support from whatever one's destination you are going after you leave. If you go once a year, twice a year, And I think this situation that we are living, it will definitely generate an increase on that type of service, and of course, a demand from the clientele on how to keep connected with their wellness property, with their wellness experts, in order to keep track on their health.
Thank you, Alejandro. So I think we're reaching towards the end of our Q&A session. One of the last questions we have is, do you think there will be a spike in mental and spiritual health retreats and experiences? And how are we currently placed on the demand supply chain here? I'd like to pose this question to Aashica. Aashica, do you think that there will be a spike in the mental health and spiritual experience sector?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, Indian health sciences, they have a lot to offer actually in this regard. And these sciences have been established over thousands of years. And they've been adopted really the world over. So there's no question on their efficacy whatsoever. We know that it works. We know that it offers deep transformation, like Alejandro was mentioning. So I think India is very well poised to be able to take advantage, well, not advantage, but to sort of use this situation really to actually be able to help people while keeping all these constraints in mind. So I think we are in a unique position to do that.
Thank you, Aashica. Pawan, can we have your take on that? Do you think there will be a spike in mental and spiritual health retreats? How are we currently placed on the demand supply chain here?
I mean, it's very simple, right? I mean, pranayama is breathing. Yoga is some form of exercise. You don't need to be close to someone. So to the extent that people believe that yoga and Ayurveda or, pranayama is going to help you, that will certainly allow more people to practice. But you don't need to come to a retreat to practice yoga. You need a 6x2 mat. You need to be practicing yoga in your own setup. It's something that you don't need to be anywhere else. So the idea that people will pay good money to come to just practice yoga with you, that's a challenge for many people, okay? I think people come to a place because they think it gives them something else. The yoga is an added bonus for them, right? Shreyas has been around now for about 15 years, and it has, we get people who mostly come from abroad, because one of the biggest challenges we've had is, convincing people in India that you should come and practice yoga with us. And they will say, well, actually, I can just listen to Baba Ramdev on TV and practice yoga. Why do I have to come and pay you for it? And I'm paraphrasing, but I think that is just generally the view that people have, is what is the value of silence? What is the value of being around people who think like you? What is the value of being around a philosophy that you can then take home with you? That you need to be soaked in it. As Dr. Stossier said, it's not something that you can just come and experience for a couple of days and then leave and expect things to change. So one of the things that wellness retreats do is they allow you to be around like-minded people in an environment where you see everybody practicing the philosophy that they preach, right? So how your staff behave in terms of their own wellness, their own health, that's going to be something that guests are going to look at. Are your staff healthy? Do they practice yoga? Do they practice meditation? So I think the supply demand is not an issue. There's plenty of supply. I think the demand is which is always an issue.
Yeah. Thank you, Pawan. Manoj, this is the last question we have from our set questionnaire. Do you think there will be a spike in mental and spiritual health experiences, and how are we currently placed on the demand supply chain here?
Yeah, definitely people will be looking for spiritual guidance from the wellness centers, because we are equipped to address that things. And the demand is there, but people are afraid to now come out, and they are basically seeking guidance on online platform, and which we all, most of the wellness centers are doing it. But like Mr. Pawan said, that we have to instill that philosophy in our staff first, in our team members, which we started post when the COVID started. We started giving yoga classes, and as the Ayurveda concept of what you call lot of herbs and everything, we started giving them so that their immunity is first built up, rather than going to the consumer and asking them to build their immunity. Because once we at Naad are healthy, then only we can preach to the consumer that this is what we were doing. Because consumer very smart enough, they, whenever they come to any of the wellness centers, they ask the team members, are you taking care of your health or not? They will ask the doctors, they will ask the therapists, they will ask all the team members. So that's how we have also done it. And once the fear of COVID is gone, then definitely the wellness industry is going to do well enough, because now whatever people were doing earlier are now trying to take professional guidance, because they were doing most of the things on Google, searching there and seeking that I know everything. And when they come to the wellness centers, they say, oh no, I know everything. You don't teach me this thing. Because I have been doing, like Mr. Pawan also said, I have been doing this yoga with Mr. Ramdev videos. So that will definitely change in the industry now.
Yeah, thank you for that, Manoj. I think that ends our session of the predetermined questions that we had for all of you. I'd like to now open up to the questions that we've received from our audiences via mail and while this chat was going on. So this question is actually for Manoj again. You offer specific bridal packages at Naad. How do you think the bridal wellness industry will be impacted, especially since we are all speaking about Indian weddings going on a diet henceforth?
Yeah, definitely this is going to be changed now, because earlier people used to go to a lot of these cosmetic centers, but now the beauty industry and the wedding industry will come, because with the wedding industry, you definitely are getting in touch with the family. If you are healthy, then you can adjust more properly with that family, and then the natural glow, that is very important. Now, if you see a lot of the film stars and all, they are doing also using a lot of homemade this thing, face packs and everything. And so yesterday also we had this thing Insta Live with one of the celebrity makeup artists. She also was very interested in knowing that how the wellness industry can help the bridals, this thing, to have more effective and more result-oriented programs. And since the wellness industry is doing that thing with the detox packages and all, we'll definitely see a spike in that industry also.
Thank you, Manoj. Alejandro, this next question has come from a viewer for you. It's asking us, when do you foresee international travel to eventually open in Europe, and how are you seeing the current bookings coming into Shah?
Well, Spain will be accepting foreign travelers from July 1st. Shah will be opening on July 22nd. Of course, we expect on the first week domestic market to be the main market. Then we will see short distance or medium distance markets, definitely Europe, to start visiting us. And I think it will be difficult to see until September, October, long distance markets visiting us.
Thank you, Alejandro. Dr. Stossier, I know that there's a question here which deals with this. I know that most of the clientele that comes to VIVAMAYR in Austria is international. And given that now I think VIVAMAYR is already opened since the 1st of June, what is the sort of clientele that you are expecting at VIVAMAYR, and when do you think you'll be able to accept foreign guests?
So first of all, Europe is a bit different situation. We have many different countries, and our neighbor, the borders to our neighbors are already open. There are no or only a few restrictions. And at the moment, you can cross the border very easily. So within Europe, there's not a big problem. We expect also Great Britain in the next couple of weeks will be open. And we also see that the borders of Europe, like Russian countries or even Turkey, will open at least at the end of the month. So I think in the next couple of weeks, that will be, again, not a big challenge to come to us. Expect the airline flights. I think that has to be also settled again. But nevertheless, there will be for sure a change, and we will not have the same amount of clienteles from the international countries coming in the next couple of weeks than we had before. So I think it has to be a small improvement or slowly going improvement till the end of the year.
Till the end of this year.
Yeah.
So it looks like the Indian clientele that VIVAMAYR gets will probably have to wait till December or maybe January 2021.
It could be. It depends when the flights are possible again. I think as soon as the flights are open, the people will fly and they will like to come to us. We still have some requests from the Indian country, but we will see when the flight is possible. I myself expect to go to India for a conference at the beginning of September. So if there is a possibility to fly in, I think at the same time people can come to Austria.
Thank you, Dr. Stossier. Aashica, this one's for you. Are there any special packages on offer to attract tourists initially at Ananda?
So we've changed our offering a little bit in terms of what we will be selling. I elaborated a little bit on that. We will be focusing a little more towards mindfulness. And then the plan is to really see, how people respond to that. And then if we need to sort of tweak our offering based on that, we will do so. But obviously our core will remain the same, which is yoga, Ayurveda, Vedanta, which is a philosophy of life. So we won't stray away from our core. We'll stay true to our roots. But I think in the immediate, in the short term, there is a need to adapt based on what people are comfortable with. So that's what we're going to do.
Thank you. Vickum, this one's for you. Sri Lanka, how do you see the wellness situation changing there? And when are you seeing tourists kind of coming back to Kandy and to Santani?
We are opening on July 1st, but I don't expect a lot of tourists to come because the airport is only opening on the 1st of August as of now. It may change. So initial month, we are focusing on getting back onto the standard procedures and getting going, and a few local tourists. But for us, almost 90% of our business is international. So it's very similar to VIVAMAYR or SHA. But what we are focusing now, again, I think what we discussed, there will be bubbles, these travel bubbles, and haul travel will come much later. People will be comfortable traveling for 1 hour than 5-6 hours. So we are very much focusing on Indian market as well. And then the second market that we are focusing in is the repeat guests. And repeat guests already are inquiring and they want to come as soon as we are open and they can travel. So we are focusing on the repeat guests and the Indian market at this point as a starting point. And then obviously once international travel comes to a normal standing, then we will go back to all our markets.
Thank you. I think we've got our last question for Pawan. Pawan, this is the last question of the session. Do you think there's going to be a change in mindset towards yoga as an immunity building exercise going forward?
I think most definitely. Most definitely. I think just the trends that I see, the number of people that I get questions from, just living in London, the number of online yoga classes that are going on, there is a general sense that people have found themselves surprised, not just by the COVID, but the fact that how susceptible they are to it. and that there is no external medicine that can help you. But what really helps you is obviously basic things like hygiene, but a good, strong immune system. And that comes from healthy living, healthy exercise. So I think there is going to be a much greater demand, not just for yoga. I would say that any ancient discipline which has in its roots, history that you can go back to, something that has been established over centuries, I think will definitely be of demand.
Thank you, Pawan. With that, I'd like to thank all our panelists today for joining us. And it's a big namaste from India. Thank you, and please do keep in touch with the TNL pages on Facebook and Instagram for upcoming details of the webinars. Thank you so much, panelists, for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Servus from Austria.
Thank you.
From Sri Lanka.
Greetings from Spain. Thank you.
Thank
you from India.
Thank you from Hyderabad, India. Bye-bye.